we have Chris and Martin, and then we want to thank the participation of Anna Siri, Elena Gambino, and Stefania Callini. Thank you. But I'll sit as well. I have a few questions, but really, it's this time is really connected to the guidelines and the documentation and the material that VIRQUAL is preparing. So, if you would like to maybe contribute a little bit, and because it's always nice to have feedback from people who had not been asked before. But, have you seen them? I think. Do you think they are useful? And why do you think they are useful? I don't know if you want to start.
Well, in my case, as I mentioned, I had heard these words before from a colleague, but I hadn't seen them operationalized. You know, I didn't see what she was talking about, and I didn't think I was so visual. I thought I was more auditory, but seeing it makes it very helpful, and that's the way most people are going to access it, is by seeing it. So I think the material itself helped me make a leap in my mind that I wasn't able to understand by just talking to people.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, for me too, but it's necessary a good presentation and dissemination of the project to the institution, so that the same institution can spread the model to their student and teacher, and so give it value and visibility. It's an important thing for me and for the project there.
According to me, it's useful. Before coming here, had no idea of what it was. Starting from that, I am talking about my experiences. I am very interested of going abroad, and so it's useful, especially during this period about talking about globalization, to talk about an international education that will be recognized all around the world. And so I think the program it's useful, but from my point of view, as I'm a student, it will be more useful if you try to do it as much simple as possible. Because, for example, as I read the guide, it was there was some expression that for me are not as simple. So when you talk about something, for me it's already difficult to understand what you're talking about first. And so it's better if we'll find an international language that can be recognized also for the person as I am as a student, that I'm not used to talk about this subject. I mean, but it's really important. It's useful as a project that can be recognized all around the world, and I can do it in my country and recognized in other places. That's all.
Yes, also for me it's very useful because it's a step for an higher education, an international education. It's a challenge for us, for the students, I think, because deal with an international view, it's very challenging, and it is very open-minded sometimes. So I think it's a very good project, and the importance is having a good making it easy and public for students, because it's an opportunity, and students must understand it as an opportunity and not something negative.
Martin, maybe you want to
Just to add something, in fact, in France we have a law, and we are obliged to recognize what you learn in another university, in another country. It is the same law, nearly the same law as what validation of experience, but it's called validation of studying abroad, and it is the same way to recognize this. You're studying that's the same your experience, professional or social experience, and we have to do that. And every university have to tell you if you have something in Spain or in United Kingdom or somewhere else, what they give you in France.
That means that you also have a standardized information. So you are not so extra. You're not so special. After all.
No, it's for students. It's not the same.
Okay.
It's the same law, but we don't analyze the same thing. In initial studying, we expect the student to have these competencies. In fact, when you we work with somebody who work or who have a social experience, they have the competencies, and you have to try to know what they learn about that experience. It's not really the same thing. It's a language which is near, but it's not exactly the same. So it's easier for students, for us, than for adults in French university.
Okay. So thanks. It's nice. Do you think? How do you think the use of this tool could be improved? How would it be possible for the project or for the European Commission maybe to improve and to establish it? What do you think it could be done?
For me, this model should be open to public and private organizations like hospital, etc., that want to propose courses to workers and exchange experience, also practical experience among workers that work in the same area but in different countries.
Yes.
Well, it's not so easy. I have no idea now. If I have to answer, it's not so easy. Probably you should. I mean, make it easier as possible. Because for me, example, I wanted before the finish of my study, I want to make an experience like this abroad. The fact that it was so difficult to understand how to do, where to go, to understand what to do, it made me on the mood that, okay, I don't care, I've done it in my country, and if I want to make experience abroad, I'll do it later, working. So if things are not so easy for us, you ever know you're not in the mood that you go there, you do it alone, it's
You're not so lost.
Yeah, you feel lost and you don't know where to turn or who to ask, and so you're not more in the mood to find a solution, and you say, I don't care, I do other things because it's too complicated.
Yeah.
So make it easy as possible. I don't know how to tell you, otherwise I will be not here probably.
Yeah, but I think we
I'm
understand
sorry.
what you mean. Yes.
I don't know, because I think that the program is good, but the difficulty is that we are a lot of different countries with different ways of teaching, etc. So this is good, but a lot of ways the answer of our doubts was it depends on the institution. So the best thing is maybe also educate the institutions to a similar mind. I don't know. And also there are sometimes the problem that there's a problem of information, because we have a version, in another country there's another. So yeah, this is the I think the difficulty maybe. And also this kind of this association, the students don't know this association, so they don't know that there is something behind the teaching, behind the universities, which studies a method to unify Europe in this way. So maybe it's for a student it's only difficult sometimes, bureaucratic difficult. So it's the same thing over. Make it easy in from a bureaucracy point of view. This is the only thing.
Can I ask you something? When you finish your experience, did you learn more than in traditional courses? Because you were in another culture area with other students, and this experience was more rich than if you had in the traditional courses.
Distance learning or e-learning courses. Martin means if you've done e-learning courses, online courses, you have. So the question really is if you think that these courses that you do online give you a richer or better or give you more benefit than a normal standard course, or the same, or it's different, but
I think it's different. Sometimes better, sometimes terrible. Depend. Another things, I think it's also important to create a community of users, students and employees, because we can check the use, the environment, and the perception of the utility of virtual model through systematic surveys or order.
Yeah, I was going to say that this is another piece where what you're saying is people can then comment on the quality of a particular course, much like people evaluate a movie or something. You know, so this would be very good to have that piece there optional, so that and again, of course, it gives feedback to the instructors to improve. Also, continuous instruction and continuous improvement is very, very good. But I'm thrilled with this idea of the study abroad piece. It's so brilliant that students in both directions can study across and not lose anything because of the equivalency. So no more light bulbs are going off in my head also.
I didn't attend a course online, but I think it is very useful because Italian mind is always the same. So only attending a course from a person from another country, I think it's useful because it has another kind of way to teach it, to teach it. So I think it's very important. But I have a question because it's not. I have a doubt about how these e-learning lessons are done. Because sometimes is it an interactive lesson? So it's a Skype call. So you have the teacher and the followers, the listeners. Because in this way, it's a good way, I think, because there's interaction. If it's only a video or writing things, it's similar to reading a book, I think. So it could be a good idea, but it depends on the way of doing the lesson.
So really, I would like to know if you can think or you can of any other tools that you think we should consider to allow mobility, to give the chance to people to study remotely in distant courses. Martin, I thought you wanted to.
No, I have a last question.
Okay, yours. After this.
I was just going to suggest, and this is just kind of a general e-learning thing, that when I have taught what is theoretically an asynchronous course, I've always made available a chat time, where even though the course is asynchronous, on a regular basis, all the students can come together and we can be online at the same time to talk. It's optional, but that way the people that really want to discuss, what is primarily an asynchronous course, at least they get that regular time to talk to me, talk meaning, talk, but to communicate in real time also. Now, I know that sometimes it's impossible to do that, and maybe if I had somebody that was the day before, the day after, or midnight. Last night, for example, I was on a conference call back to the U.S. I was on at 1 o'clock in the morning because that's when the meeting was. Well, I had to go to sleep, wake up, and make the call. But if I was taking that course and it was important to me, and that's when the course was, it was originating from the U.S., might be worth it, not every week, but once in a while when I'm needing more information to get in on the total communication. So I personally believe that even asynchronous courses should have some chance for you to communicate as whoever is at that point in time together. So.
No?
Maybe the only tool I think is the information. I have an example. When I studied at the 3 years here in Genova, there were the Erasmus responsible said to me that I had just only opportunity to go abroad. So I choose to do this during the last years. When I went to Pavia, I'm studying in Pavia and not in Genoa, for the 2 last years, I found a lot of different programs to go abroad. So I had this. I lost an opportunity because I could have done the Erasmus during the 3 years, and then this would be the second experience abroad for me. And in the same time, the experience of e-learning is an opportunity that if a student knows it, it's a good opportunity. But it's not published. The student doesn't know it. So I think it's important that a person, as a student, could have a lot of experiences with international people, because it's very reaching. It makes a person richer. So this is only my...
No, I think that...
I have a last question, I think.
For the students.
Yeah, for the students. Does that type of learning help you to become lifelong learners? Your experience, the distance learning experience you had, it will help you to become what we are sure you have to be
lifelong learners.
It was just a purpose I had this morning. For me, it's very difficult to make our students in my university to become lifelong learners. And I would like just to know if that kind of experience helps you to understand that you have to be lifelong learners, and if that kind of learning of teaching, you are going to come back further in your life on distance courses all over the world.
it's a bit difficult. No,
Yeah.
it's if your experience as e-learners have helped you to convince you that you have to be lifelong learners, and if you think that it will help you to be interested to come back and to continue doing courses online, for example.
Yes.
If we think after this conference,
Your studies, your current studies.
No, what is meant is these days we don't take a course and then finish school and never come back. So what is a policy or a priority in Europe today is that we always learn, because life is changing so fast that if you stop learning, then you're not adapted to society anymore. So we are all lifelong learners, so we learn throughout our life. So what Martin was asking was if the experience in e-learning, if you think it can contribute for you to become lifelong learners, to continue learning in your life.
I think it should be create a community with the older learners, but not stimulate my personal choice to continue the education, I think.
Well, I've never tried an experience like this, but for me, I prefer to be more in contact with person, and so go abroad, meet new culture and a person, and challenge myself in the real life. I mean, but I think it's useful for the people that has no also money, because I think if you go abroad, I've done Erasmus 3 years ago, and I spend a lot of money, and the money that the institution gives to you, it's nothing. So this can be an opportunity for a person that would like to do an experience abroad, but they have not the money to do it. So like this, you can mix something more that gives you the opportunity to meet new culture, to give you something new without being obliged to go abroad. But from my opinion, I prefer face to face. Right?
I have always thought about being a lifelong learner, because I'm a student in this moment. So, but I have an image of me that studies for all my life. So I think it's a good opportunity. I think because the world is is going very faster, and also because it's very I like studying, doing improving my knowledge. I think so. This is a good tool, I think. I have only also another point about the previous question for the tools, because I thought about the previous question. I thought about also the stages, the opportunity of working abroad, because I think it's sometimes difficult. It's difficult nowadays going abroad to have an experience of working experience, and I think it could be very important. So it could be a very important tool.
So I think because much of what we've talked about all day today has been in the area of professional education, and coming from an accreditation perspective, which is why I'm here representing an accrediting body, that you can't stop if you're in a profession. because there's always going to be improvements in technology or in the way you do things or in new, frontiers of education that have been added to it. So if you're talking about professional education, which is what I'm interested in, and what seems to be one of the focuses of the VIRQUAL, for example, because it talks about credentials in other countries, that you have to be a lifelong learner, because to just stay in your profession, we wouldn't want a physician operating on us that hadn't learned anything new in the last 10 years, right? So any profession, the same model, you really need to continuously learn what's the new technique. You don't have any choice. It's not even an option anymore.
So I think that more or less these are the questions we had prepared for this session. I'm not sure if there is anybody who would have any questions or any comments who could like to contribute. Yes. But I think it's been really a very good contribution from all of you. We are very thankful for your collaboration, and I hope that you have a very successful career, you three in particular. You are very young, but and thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you so much for letting me come. It's been a wonderful experience.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Also, thank you to Martin. And thank you to anybody who is online. Thank you to the participants here. Bye-bye.